We have a lot of stuff to talk about today. First of all, in terms of software, we've just done all the hardware stuff. Now we're going to jump into software. The first folks to talk about Bethesda. Last year, they did their first E3 conference. It ended up being the E3 conference. I mean, between showing Fallout 4, announcing it, saying it was coming out later that year, Pip-Boy Edition, launching a mobile game, Doom, like the amount of insane stuff that they showed at that. I mean, Dishonored, it was an absolute barn burner. Looking at this year, there was a lot of rumors about some of the stuff that we may or may not see. First one I want to talk about with you, Dave, Skyrim Remastered. I feel like I've heard this rumor for the past 3 years at E3. It's either happening this year or it's not happening at all, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've heard about it so many times, and I mean, I'd love to jump back into that world again. But at the same time, I feel like it's also maybe not the most deserving Elder Scrolls game. Maybe a bit of a controversial opinion.
Right.
But, I mean...
Would you prefer to see Oblivion get...
Morrowind.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, actually, fair enough.
I mean, the way I look at it
you didn't
is...
say Daggerfall, so that's all right. Or Arena.
Either remaster a game that isn't only 5 years old.
Yeah.
Because everyone's already played Skyrim to death, and it still looks amazing, especially with mods. But... you either remaster a game that's like way inaccessible now, like Morrowind, or you explore the rest of Tamriel. Like you could go to Black Isle, the home of the Argonians, and see what they're doing.
All right, I'm going to be the Mr. Bethesda in the suit and be like, talk some sense into you and be... Skyrim is the most successful of the Elder Scrolls series.
But then it would be, right?
It would be, exactly. And if you were going to remaster anyone, you pick the one that people have current nostalgia for.
Right.
You know, it's still in the consciousness of gamers socially. You know, arrow to the knee memes, as much as we hate them, are still going. Skyrim mods are what paved the way for Fallout mods.
Yeah.
And Bethesda's kind of interest in delivering mods across platforms. And they have a crap ton of mods already ready to go.
Right.
And they've just launched, obviously, Fallout mods, so they know how the flow works, the pipeline works.
Yeah.
They've got that stuff out. It's almost as if Fallout 4 mods was kind of worked out in order to bring Skyrim mods back.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's got so much legacy to it. And to be honest, like, everyone loves Skyrim. Like, we have nostalgia for Morrowind and Oblivion and that kind of stuff. But, like, the amount of people that still talk about Skyrim right now, and I just, like... as soon as you announce it, I will throw my money at you and just posting pictures of Fry from Futurama being like, take my money. Like, there's millions of them out there. It makes perfect sense for them to do Oblivion. No, sorry, Skyrim instead of Oblivion.
It wasn't until you mentioned Morrowind, or even like, do you want to feel really old? It's been 10 years since Oblivion came out. Is that mental?
That was like one of the first games I bought on a... like,
I love that game.
Yeah. Remember getting that thick box version? Remember that one? Yeah, it looked like a friggin' manuscript. It was awesome.
I was actually the idiot that bought horse armor as well.
Oh, you were?
I did.
Yep.
God, the start of DLC. That's
So,
how
like,
old it is.
Bethesda said that they pretty much have done Skyrim. They got it over. It was a story a while back. Like,
I think
we ported it. We've done.
Totally.
Done.
So I think
we've
that's
got it running on Xbox.
Yeah, like enough people had seen it through some sort of channels that even last year it was like, oh, it's definitely happening.
Yeah, it was clearly something they kind of used to explore developing for these consoles, and we're like, right, if we just hit press discs,
but imagine how good that rain and water would look, that Morrowind dankness in HD. Let's move on though, because we got a bunch of games to go through here. Doom released last month, massive surprise success. It sold well in excess of, it was 500,000 sometime last week. It's probably pushed way past that now as well, and that's only on PC. Do you think we'll see some DLC for this thing? Like,
best case scenario, we'll get some single player DLC. Worst case scenario, we'll get some multiplayer DLC.
Yeah, totally with you on that. Dave, what do you think?
I mean, I've played into the ending, and no spoilers, but the ending was like, you'll see more of us.
Okay, right.
So, I mean, it's pretty implied we'll see more of Doom. But like Tam said, the single player was one of the best shooter stories that I've played in years. But the multiplayer, I was just like...
Yeah, totally. I mean, developed by a different, it was Critical Assembly who did it, or sort of Call of Duty and Halo, multiplayer side project fame. There was nothing wrong with it. It's just it's so blasé
from the single player experience.
Yeah.
It's like we've figured out how to boil Doom back down to its essence. We want to remind you what first person shooters like this, why you love them, and we're going to give you that. And then multiplayer, remember this modern crap you've got?
One surprise. It's a long tradition of Doom, launching map packs, so hopefully we'll see more of that. Let's get Fallout 4 out of the way. Do you think we're going to see any more? I mean, they have a pipeline for a bunch more expansion packs.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to announce any more? I feel like the cliff on Fallout 4 has been very surprising. I mean, so you host and run our Fallout 4 show, right?
Yeah.
So like Fallout 3 seemed to just be forever. People were like modding it and playing it. Skyrim, same sort of thing. Like I have a similar experience on my YouTube channel doing Fallout 4 streams and stuff.
Yeah.
Just you can see it. Like there's just not that much interest in it. It's
the
really
hype just
surprising.
kind of plummeted.
Yeah.
But what I was looking at is the time difference between Fallout 3 and New Vegas. And for me, New Vegas was way better than Fallout 3.
Yeah,
it's
totally agree.
my favorite Fallout game. The gap there was 2 years.
Right.
So
God.
in theory, we could see like Obsidian.
Right,
Maybe their
that'd be
version
amazing.
of Fallout. Like they take up the reins. The same that happened with Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Maybe they could be skulking. And
But then you wonder if, Todd Howard's team, well, I guess it wouldn't be Todd Howard's team then, but you wonder maybe if Bethesda as a whole are done with announcing games a year and a half out because they had so much success with Fallout 4,
True, yeah.
They said that when they announced the season pass and then raised the price of the season pass, they said they've expanded the scope of it to include more. And if they have more to work with in terms of they've got more plans for DLC, it would make sense for them to announce something now instead of just being like waiting it out, because as you said, interest is kind of waning, and I think that's partially a symptom of how quickly it was announced and then released, and then
just the amount of hype around it when it launched. Jeez, there's very few games that can get that.
We were being pummeled by Fallout stuff around the launch, so I think a lot of people were like kind of were ready to draw a line under Fallout and be like, all right, I can sweep all that stuff under the rug now and just move on with my gaming life. But like if they want to bring people back into it, some story DLC will go down a tree, I reckon.
Let's move on a little bit here. Let's potter through these ones pretty quick because we don't know too much about them. Dishonored 2, we've already seen, that lovely trailer, presumably gameplay this year.
Yeah, there definitely will be. I went to see it recently and wrote up a preview and an interview and that kind of stuff.
Do you see it getting played?
So I didn't get to play it, but I watched one of the gameplay designers play it, and it looked really cool. It looks to be kind of doing a lot of similar things, but the interesting thing, part of it is the way the world kind of reacts to you and the way you can mess around with weird supernatural powers.
Cool.
So it's just a matter of giving you more of that and making the AI better. And the interesting thing about it was like they clearly had more ambitious ideas for the original Dishonored,
right,
but were hampered by somewhat of by the technology. They couldn't like get the AI routines down the way they wanted them to interact.
Okay.
And the thing that they were really speaking about when I interviewed them was like, we need, we've got more power so we can do crazier things and let you do crazier things. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what they do with it.
That's exciting. I mean, I want a smarter version of Thief or something like that.
That's what it feels like, to be honest.
Excellent. Wolfenstein, will we see another one of these? I mean, Machine Games' rebirth of that. Oh, Doom was a surprise. Wolfenstein was equally a surprise. Like, what a wonderful game. The best Wolfenstein game, probably, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see any more Wolfenstein
I hope so.
2?
Especially after like the Old World Blues. That was kind of like a standalone / DLC experience. But I adored the remake of Wolfenstein, and especially if they take the things that they've learned from Doom, taking these super old games, pulling on your nostalgia strings.
Yeah, they're 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Like now I just want them to announce a new Quake. Like, and I wouldn't have said that 2 months ago. I would have said, don't touch Quake. We were all still remember Quake 4. We're still getting over it.
The voice actress for, was it Anya?
Yes.
She's basically let slip that she's working on the second one.
Wolfenstein.
She said, I worked on this game series in the past, and I loved the bit when you got to kill Hitler.
Yeah.
And now I'm working on this series, and I'm working on the second part of it. So like by reading between the lines,
spoilers, you get to kill Hitler again.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned Quake because when I played the Doom multiplayer, it reminded me more of Quake than anything else.
See, that's a weird thing because like a lot of people were saying that because I guess the verticality that existed in Quake, there was none in Quake 1 multiplayer. And Quake 2 multiplayer, it was all like hook mod and arena stuff, and it was like Rocket Arena and things like that. And Quake 3 was a bit more like, there's more people involved. But there was an interesting conversation I had last week with a couple of folks in the office about how maybe it makes sense that like Doom's multiplayer was the way it was because they're working on Quake. Like maybe they just make, because it's team, like for all the modes in Doom's multiplayer are team based. For God knows what reason, because team multiplayer was not ever a thing. I mean, even on Doom or Quake, like unless you talk about Team Arena, which everyone's wiped from their minds. So like imagine if the reason they got Critical Assembly to work on that was because, hey, you know what, we're actually going to be doing a new Quake over here.
Yeah.
Turns out arena shooters are real hot right now. We've got Cliff Bleszinski making a new one. Blizzard are even in on it. Like, imagine it. Like, now I believe them if they did a new Quake.
I'd be throwing my money at that as well.
Right?
Yeah, there's more faith in them now. I mean, like you said, they're 2 for 2 right now. They clearly understand their own lineage again, and they understand what made the original games great. And perhaps, like, you've convinced me. I'm ready for it. Like, I believe it. So
I was about to say Facing Worlds.
And it's one of the few studios that are doing nostalgia correctly as well.
Yeah,
they're not letting you down. They're pulling on your nostalgia heartstrings, but then also delivering on that love.
Yeah, it's amazing. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. Last big one here, I guess, and this one's been floating around for a while, and it sounds like this is not going to be anything to do with the one we saw before, which Human Head was working on, but there is a lot of word that Prey 2 may be resurfacing. Jason Schreier, there was he kind of threw it into the end of one of his news posts last week, but then in the comments, he added something else saying, is over at Kotaku. All I've heard is that they're announcing it at E3. I'm not 100% sure, though. I do know it's codenamed Danielle and is under development at Arcane Austin, and that this is totally new Prey 2. It might even be called something else now at this stage, or now, sorry. Now, and not the one we saw in 2011 from Human Head. So Arcane Austin, I mean, we don't know what else they're working on at the moment.
Yeah, they haven't. I mean, they're a studio that was established by Bethesda, and then nothing has come out of it, which is suspicious. Like, they're clearly working on something. And everything that Schreier said there kind of jives with what the news, the leaks, the kind of rumors that have happened so far with, Human Head being taken off the project.
Yeah.
And it even kind of fits in with Bethesda cancelling the project. They cancelled Prey 2.
Right.
They didn't cancel. They may have just reinvented it as something else and taken out all of that and given it to Arcane Austin and let them run with it.
Yeah, you never know what happens in these situations.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it wasn't coming together, or I mean, Arcane Austin had worked out. They helped out Arcane with Dishonored 2, Dark Messiah, Magic, and all that. But
it's kind of a shame because the Human Head stuff that they showed off a few E3s ago looked really cool. Like
it looked good, but you were also wondering, like, how previs is this? Like, is this actually the game?
Yeah.
We've been burned a bunch on that a bunch of times. I guess they should probably announce another mobile game. I don't know. That last one worked out pretty good.
Real good.
Fallout Shelter, I mean, that's still on my phone now.
Yeah. It was really good at wasting my battery at E3 when I was on the toilets for like a solid week. And sometimes a not so solid week.
On the toilet for a solid week. Or?
Anything else you can think of Bethesda-wise?
I mean, my hopes is more Doom, more single-player Doom. And if they were... Like, Fallout is one of my favorite game series. And I don't mind admitting that I was a little bit disappointed with Fallout 4.
Right,
If they were to revitalize that, give it to Obsidian and let them do what they did to Fallout 3 into New Vegas, that would make me happy, boy.
I wonder if whether we like it or not, they might spend a little time on Elder Scrolls Online.
Right,
I'm sure.
It's still kicking around.
I mean, it's doing well enough for them to keep it around. Usually MMOs that fail or aren't doing too well are canned way quicker than this.
So Tamriel Unlimited, they went free to play.
It seems to be doing okay. So maybe we'll get some. I know they did Thieves Guild recently, so maybe we'll get some more stuff to do with, more expanded.
And it's almost the fact that we haven't talked about this at all, but it is too early for Todd Howard's team to start talking about a new Elder Scrolls game. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
you think
they're a big team, as in. They have a few people working on a bunch of different things, so they could be working on it, and put out a small teaser. Never know. I wouldn't put it past them. I don't expect it, but I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah. Like we said before, I mean, whilst we'd all love a Skyrim remastered, exploring the rest of that super rich world.
Yeah, there's still a bunch of provinces in Tamriel.
Exactly, half of the entire world is still unexplored. So let's get around to that. Maybe even a huge all of Tamriel at once. Just give it all to us.
And as much as we love Bethesda and like to treat their games as all these distinct things, there are clearly a lot of overlaps between Fallout and Skyrim in terms of technology, how they build their games. The fact that they have done Fallout 4 now makes it considerably easier to move on to another Elder Scrolls
or maybe that's what the Skyrim remastered is all about. The same with the Gears of War remastering, running into Gears of War 4 was them getting all those assets back in there.
There's definitely bleed over in terms of technology and design and that kind of stuff, so it would fast track that process somewhat.
Who knows, they might have a new IP up their sleeve as well. We'll have to wait and see. Thank you both for coming on, talking to us. Dave Jewish, Tamoor saying you stick around. We're going to get Rob Crossley on in a second. Let us know what you think of Bethesda, what they're going to show off in the comments below, and hit that subscribe button. We have a bunch of videos. There's 8 of these videos going up on our YouTube channel. If you're watching us live, of course, you don't have to wait.